Oops.
Like a lion. I wasn't ready for that.
Oh no. Well.
It's like, it's good, but also crazy.
Yeah, I feel ya. Wow. So many people showed up. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hylian Gamescast. This is episode... What did I put in the title? 168 of the Hylian Gamescast. And we have some news about some Mario Kart DLC, some Pokemon stuff, and some other stuff that Jesse said. But hello, I'm Daniel, aka 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃. I am one of your lovely host-type people here today. I'm joined by the Geek Apprentice, who has a very specific phobia of a very specific type of Zelda enemy. She's scared of whiz-bangs. And...
Oh, I think a second I was like,
she's
Give those? Dead hand?
No, scared of whiz-bangs. And of course...
Specifically my mom, but...
It's genetic. It's a no.
Oh yeah, phobias, apparently, they have found in science that there might be some legitimacy to the fact that, or there might be some legitimacy that phobias are in fact passed down.
Oh, really?
Bloodline.
Oh,
which
dang.
explains why my grandmother, my mom, and I all cannot handle palmetto bugs.
There you go. In fairness, they're nasty.
They are.
They are.
They really are. They are the spawn of Satan. Anyway.
Yeah. We're also joined with the Game Over guy himself, Mr. Jesse. Hello.
Hi.
It's beautiful to see
you. I've been waiting to come on one of these with you for
on
such a long time.
Channel.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being invited. And everything.
Well,
Also, for everybody watching, please let us know how the audio is. My Streamlabs settings decided for a little while that it didn't like audio at all. Any audio. So I kind of had to retool everything to get this working. But I think it's good and working now. But let me know if it sucks or if it's too loud or too quiet or etc. Oh, Aaron says audio is all right. Excellent. Okay, perfect. So, Jesse, why don't you take us away into the newsy type stuff that we have to discuss here? Since you are the man that gathered the topics, and I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time.
am I allowed?
Yes, please.
This is my first time.
Oh my gosh. I believe in you.
I guess we'll start off with the Pokemon Direct that was announced this morning, I think.
Yep.
For August 3rd at 6 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. ET, 3 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. in Europe. And yeah, they're going to be talking about some Pokemon apps. Do you remember that Pokemon toothbrushing app they used to have?
Pokemon Smile, I think it was called. I do remember that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope we get a sequel to it.
The sequel to
You know what I'm
Pokemon
talking
Smile.
This
Yeah.
time, flossing.
Oh, yes. We're going to be talking about some other Pokemon games, and of course, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. Call me crazy, but what would you guys think of new Pokemon Snap DLC?
I would not be opposed to that. I think it would be pretty cool. I like Pokemon Snap. I actually didn't finish the game. Oops. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed as far as I got into it. Probably like 2/3 into the game that I got. Yeah, I mean, the only thing is like there's a pretty good spread of different environments. I'm not sure, like they'd have to pull out something that's like really different from what's already in the game. Environmentally speaking.
I think after the new 2 games, Scarlet and Violet, release, I think they could do something to build off the hype for that, where they introduce DLC with some of those areas and some of those Pokemon and put in there. And yeah. But other than that, like the only other Pokemon thing I can think of is Pokemon Arceus. But I don't know. Do you think they would put any updates to that, or I don't know.
I haven't even played it yet.
I hope they remind everyone that almost everyone that bought the first Pokemon games for Switch still have a Mew somewhere stranded in a Pokeball.
Oh
That's
no.
been put on a shelf for like 3 years.
That you
and
could only
abandoned.
get from that Pokemon. That, have I mentioned that bothers the heck out of me? That Mew thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's such a horrendous paywall to get Mew, and you can only have one. And if you like delete your save file, it's gone. Like if you lost your save file, that Mew is gone. It's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. But
Which is the
Is
point.
that how you spend your free time? You go to all your friends' houses and just delete their Mews?
that's what I do. No, but I mean, Pokemon Legends was really cool, but I honestly feel like it does not need DLC. I think the next Pokemon game is coming out soon enough that it just would feel a little unnecessary to me, I guess. I don't know. That's just me. Or if it was coming out with DLC, it should have already. Like 3 months after the
Yeah.
game dropped, I think. Yeah. That's just me. So it's a good game though. Yes.
No, sorry. No,
No, I'm done. I'm done talking. Please.
there's a couple of seconds of silence, and I was just thinking, Geek hasn't said anything. Really.
I haven't been here in a while.
Neither have I. It's all right.
Like, okay, wait, what are you asking me? Like thoughts on the Pokemon Direct in general, or
Yeah,
the
what do you
specifically-
expect or hope to see?
I expect Violet and Scarlet, 100%. Kind of forgot about those, but I am kind of excited for them, though. That'd be interesting if they have Pokemon Snap DLC. Personally, I just want something that is like an upgraded version of the original, just because I want to hear the nostalgia. Professor Oaks. I don't know. I streamed it the day it came out. I literally did one level and was done. I was like, wow. I don't know if it's because trying to do it on a Switch Joy-Cons is just real messed up, or if it's just been a long time. But I could not play that game. I could not do it. Then again, I had the same issue with Diddy Kong Racing. Sort of. Except I played it on an N64 like a couple years ago, and my mom and I were like, this game stinks. We couldn't make it work. Anyway. I can't really think of anything that I necessarily want to see. I'm hit or miss when it comes to Pokemon. I like love all of the Pokemons themselves, which, speaking of Pokemon, when I was on vacation, I went to this little game store and they had all of the 4 original, because if you count Pokemon Yellow, Game Boy ones in Japanese, so I bought the green one because that's the one that was Japan only. So I thought it was cool. Also, I like Bulbasaur. Am I gonna play it? No, but just thought I'd point that out there.
Sometimes you just need it for
No,
like a collector's piece, though. That's
Right?
yeah.
If I could have,
That's
I would
awesome.
have bought all of them. They weren't expensive, but like, green was the one I was most after because that was Japan. We got red and blue. They got green and red. So I was like, I can't remember. Did they nix blue or red? I feel like there's no way they would have nixed red because they knew Charizard was going to be a hit. But yeah, no, I don't really have any commentary on it. I won't probably be watching it or streaming it because I work, or I have to leave for work 15 minutes after it starts. So yeah, I'm excited for Violet and Scarlet. I don't know which one I'm gonna get, but
Yeah, I'm hoping they kind of give us more Scarlet and Violet details. Like, I want to see more of how the world design will play into like the story progression, because they like on their website especially, they've really tried to hammer home that like this is an true open world Pokemon game, which Legends wasn't really. It was like close, but it was still like sectioned off zones, right?
yeah.
So but they've talked. They keep saying it is open world, but they haven't shown much of that and how that's gonna play. So I don't know. I'm just hoping to see more of that, more details on that. Because they've shown a lot of like the characters and the professors and the new Pokemon themselves, or at least some of them. So, but I feel like the big selling point is gonna be that this is like properly an open world game. And they haven't really, in my eyes at least, haven't really conveyed enough about that side of things, or that aspect of the game. They're just like, it's open world, but they haven't shown much of the world itself. Yeah. So we'll see. Like, are gyms a thing? I think they've talked about it. There's like gas stations.
Yeah.
There's online multiplayer. Are gyms a thing? I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind the absence of it either. I have no idea. So I feel like they've talked about it, and I'm just
like Zelda got rid of dungeons.
right. Well, we had Breath of the Wild, so yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I think there's been a few Pokemon games without gyms that have been all right. Like Sun and Moon and Legends both didn't have gyms, right? So yeah, and I think I was okay with that. So yeah. Jesse, what is the day and time of the Pokemon Presents?
Yeah, it is
never
the 3rd, so Wednesday, if my math is correct. 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. in Europe. So 6 a.m. for you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
You...
I'm not getting up before 6 to stream that. That's for sure. No.
When was the last Pokemon Direct?
I feel like it wasn't that long ago. Maybe a few months ago.
Do you think it'll just be Pokemon, or do you think Game Freak will announce something? Like, remember that time they randomly announced Town, or whatever it was?
Right.
That was weird.
That was a sort of one-off thing, though, right?
I think so. It's like Game Freak's never made anything else.
Yeah, it's like,
a long time.
What did someone get upset?
They're like, this isn't Pokemon. You can't make this game. It's not Pokemon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's like 𝗟𝗵𝗲 always says that the higher up people at Nintendo are always telling him that they would like to see him make something other than Zelda, but every time he gets ideas to make something other than Zelda, they're like, no, just work on Zelda.
You're the Zelda guy.
Yeah.
Just work on Zelda. I'm not surprised at all.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. Where is it? No, wait, what? Yeah, this is Nintendo.
What? What's Nintendo, Jesse?
When the last time the Pokemon Directs were.
Oh, right. You were. I guess I could have looked that up. I just said, oh, and then didn't, and then just mentally moved on.
And then February 27th, 2022. That was just Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Right.
And then before that, it was Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Arceus on August 2021.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess.
So his February was like half a year ago now. Then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like every 6-ish months.
That works.
Yeah. So I guess we're done with that. Daniel, if you would like to show people so they know what I'm talking about, because it'll just take like 5 seconds. The Twitter thing with Breath of the Wild. I came across this. I remember seeing it a long time ago, and it just never made the connections in my head. I just kind of looked past it like, yep, that's Breath of the Wild concept stuff. What's next? And on Twitter, I seen not the real Reggie, but the robot Reggie.
Right, the Robo Reggie.
Reggie 800, Nintendo Secrets. You have it up on the screen?
I
images,
will just put it up.
Is it not? There's a dog
in front of you. How about that? I'll just
Good.
put it in.
I mean, that would probably be best for everyone. So, Reggie says, in 2017, Nintendo showed off a prototype of Breath of the Wild at a Japanese conference called CEDEC. Photos weren't allowed, but some leaked out anyway, revealing Link skydiving down onto Hyrule and other unused concepts. And there's a bunch of images from a Did You Know Gaming video. I think Dr. Lava was the one who did the research on that video, and somehow, amazingly, reached out to a bunch of people who attended, which are, I believe, just people in the gaming industry in Japan.
Right.
So very hard to get a hold of people, but he did, and he got some of these images, which basically shows what 𝗏𝗏 was talking about in the some of the original interviews about the game, where he said that to kind of space out how far apart certain locations should be, he based it off of different cities or whatever in Japan. And that's why we see here, instead of Hyrule, there is a giant castle temple structure, and then the other one just looks like a big flat thing falling down. But just as seemingly everything else from Breath of the Wild 2 that we've seen came from some form of concept art or gameplay from the original Breath of the Wild. Skydiving seems to have been in their plans from the beginning as well, but probably just one of the many things they removed because they didn't have any real use for it without delaying the game and adding in a bunch of stuff. But it's interesting to see that before they even had Hyrule itself built, they were already planning on including the skydiving. Although it doesn't look like Link has a paraglider or a sailcloth or anything, so he's just gonna
splat.
Yep.
He has stuff in his gear so he can look like a flying squirrel.
Ah, there you go. I mean, in fairness, when your paraglider's not like, when you're not like using it, it's just like gone, right? He just kind of pulls it out of thin air, basically. So I mean, that could be the case here, right? I guess it would have been the sailcloth at that time, but still.
Yeah.
But it seems like this is like it does feel very much like a holdover from Skyward Sword in a lot of ways, because that was the game they had like kind of come off of developing before starting into Breath of the Wild. Or I mean, that's definitely what I would have thought at the time initially seeing this, like before we saw the trailers for the sequel. But now it definitely feels like something they wanted to include and maybe cut for time delays or whatever it was, and then Nintendo doesn't sleep on a good idea. They don't waste a good idea. So it's interesting to see though, compared to those new trailers especially. Yeah.
That would be a good idea for a video.
Do it.
Like good ideas for cut content that Nintendo never reused. I don't know if I could think of any.
I mean, that's the thing, is they very often don't. And you made a video recently about like 𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏, which by the way was a very good video. I really enjoyed that. I was thinking like it was a bit different than a lot of other videos you've done. But it was really well done, and I think you approached the subject very thoughtfully. But a lot of people, you mentioned like a lot of people really want like 𝗏𝗏 to come out. I even noticed it in a lot of comments where people are like, Nintendo should remake Ocarina of Time in HD and include 𝗏𝗏. But the thing is, like, there's very little that they could include that wasn't like reused already in other games, right? Like we know from the Giga Leaks and stuff that like a lot of the stuff in Majora's Mask, including like whole modeled areas, were built for that and in those files for Ocarina of Time, and then just repurposed for Majora's Mask. So it's like, which makes sense if you've got like a bunch of half-built stuff and then you only have a year to make a game. It's like, okay, well, we didn't use this half-built thing, let's just finish it up, retexture it, throw it in the new game. Yeah, it makes total sense. So Mm-hmm.
I remember the skeleton house or Skulltula house looked almost identical to what it looked like
Mm-hmm.
when it was just planned for Ura.
Yeah, and then there's the beneath the well section in Icana, which was also in
yes.
was
Yes,
also
I
supposed to be
remember
in
that
Ura Zelda, which is really interesting. It's funny because that is like one of my least favorite areas in in Majora's Mask.
Just a horrible fetch quest.
It is. It just absolutely. It's like it's not just a
Really
fetch
is.
quest. It's like 30 fetch quests. Like
It's worse than
It's a pain.
in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, do you want to buy a house? Okay, you have to pay me this much money, and then go chop the wood yourself.
go.
Right?
Yeah, go get your own wood. Yeah, that's true. It's pretty egregious, but
Something else I wanted to mention before we moved on about Breath of the Wild.
right.
Sort of about Breath of the Wild, sort of about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't know if anyone knows, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was popular for having really poor graphic quality in terms of like the frame rate and the resolution scaling down, because sometimes it would drop down to almost as low as like 360p, which is lower than the GameCube. And what was it? In Xenoblade Chronicles 3, not only does the game look better, like the details on the characters and everything, but the resolution only drops down to about 540p at most, which is not quite double, but like 3/4 of the way there to the double the resolution. And it increases that resolution while also having all of the areas larger, having more characters in those areas, and the characters in the world itself being a lot more detailed. And since it was Monolith Soft that was able to make that much of an improvement between the few years that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and they're probably helping on Breath of the Wild too, because there's that Zelda team. Unless they're just doing their own thing, hopefully we can get like a Link's Crossbow Training remastered or something from them. But it kind of gives me hope for Breath of the Wild 2 looking somewhat better and not having all of the weird slowdowns that Breath of the Wild 1 had, like when you go to Korok Forest and stuff, especially when the game first came out, because now not only is the game going to be loading the world that it would normally be loading, but you're also going to have giant islands floating in the sky that it now has to load, which theoretically should cause a big frame drop, but I'm not worried because all the improvements on Xenoblade has me excited to see just how good they can get the Switch running.
Yeah.
Which is maybe they should have helped out on some of the other games like Fire Emblem Warriors or Age of Calamity.
Something worth noting as well is that the sequel is not being developed with the Wii U hardware in mind. It's I think that held Breath of the Wild back in some regards.
For sure.
Yeah, and I mean like there's not like there is a difference, but not that much of a difference between the two versions of the game. So I think that that's going to be to the game's benefit, is not being held back by the Wii U. I mean, I know the Switch is like dated hardware technically, but also Nintendo's very good at optimizing things, and especially like the farther into the hardware's life cycle we get, the better or the more talented or the more skilled they are, the more practiced they are at optimizing games for that hardware, right? So yeah, I think that's gonna benefit the game's visuals and its graphical fidelity, because even on Switch there's still a lot of pop in on Breath of the Wild. You notice, like, if there's details on the ground and then you get close and it's like, okay, then there's way more details. So
that was one of the things I was excited about with the Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where not only is everything more detailed, but like the land and everything, the
Mhm.
depth of field extends out a lot further than Chronicles 2. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that also carries over, because like you mentioned, there's times when you can be chasing a pig or something, or boar, whatever, Greg, and then he just magically disappears.
Yeah, a lot of animals in Breath of the Wild just like fade into the air somehow, and it's just like that's a bit of a that's a bit of an immersion breaker, for me. You know, yeah, that sucks. But oh well. So yeah, I'm hopeful as well.
Yeah.
I think between those, like I especially not just the Zelda team, but now Monolith has made like Xenoblade 2, and then they also re-released Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on Switch with Definitive Edition, and now Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So they've made basically 3 big open world games in addition to assisting with Breath of the Wild. I'm sure they've got their sort of workflow down by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's good.
You want to do the Mario Kart news, Daniel?
Sure.
Also, love your shirt.
Thank you. It's banana-rific. Well, I guess
I was just thinking, I was like, what is on a shirt? And I should have known.
they're
It's
just
yellow,
little-
it must be
they're little
bananas.
bananas. they're little bananas. Yeah, I love it. So this news is a two-pronged news story. But the first one is the news, not the leaky news. Mario Kart Deluxe DLC Wave 2 has been announced finally. When was Wave 1?
So is it waving 2?
What?
Me.
To
You
geek.
said wave 2.
Wave to geek.
Okay.
Do you guys remember when Wave 1 came out? It's been a good few months now,
Yeah,
I think.
I remember.
It was March.
You said wave, and my first thought was wave race on the N64. I don't know.
Love it. No, yeah, I think it was March, because that was also when Jesse's laptop died. It was
Okay.
around that time.
See, that was like right at like the start of recital stuff. So
Right.
like I was present, but also I very much don't remember it.
But we did those really fun streams
Yeah.
together, and I'd
I
like
want
to do it
see
again.
again.
At some point, we just got to figure schedules out, because Geek's very busy. Kayla's very busy all the time. I'm
I'll have a new schedule soonish, and it'll be a set one. So that'll be nice to figure out. I'm doing less hours than last year, which will be nice.
That's good. That's good. Less stress, I hope. But yeah,
That's the goal.
I was thinking it released with the Switch Online, the premium expansion pack thing, but it was added to it later
it was
on.
added to it, but they did
Yeah.
say that it would come to that. So like it was announced with it, and then it released and being just as included with it. So 8 new courses are coming. Of course, in each wave, I think it's 8 courses until they reach 48 new ones.
Mhm.
And I should probably pull up
6 releases.
6. Yes, that would be 6 releases. But yeah, there's some pretty cool classic courses coming to the booster pack too. There's some very good dessert themed ones. There's the train one from the N64 Mario Kart Calamari Desert. That was one of my favorites on Mario Kart 64. We got Mario Circuit 3, which is a Super Nintendo one from Super Mario Kart. Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart Wii. Sydney Sprint from
Love
Tour.
that one.
Yeah, there's the pinball one that everyone seems to really love. Everyone loves the pinball level. I always hear people talk about the pinball level.
Which one was that on?
DS, I think. Mario Kart DS.
Oh, that explains why I don't know it. Because I had the 3DS one, Mario Kart 7, but I never had DS.
I think they know that this is a fan favorite one though, because they spend longer showing off that one than the others. I noticed. You know what I mean? They spent
know
like
what
a
they're
whole
doing.
minute on that one. There's the Snowland one from Mario Kart Super Circuit on GBA. Another New York minute from Tour. And yeah, that's it. That's all 8. So a good collection of courses. Some couple Tour courses again. Some classics thrown in. Really excited for Kalmar Desert. That's again, that was one of my faves in 64. And I'll say actually that at least something I noticed is that around Wave 1 coming out, there was a lot of talk about like the graphics of the level not being up to par with the base game's visuals. And I'll say it still feels like it's not quite there with these ones, but these do look, I think, better than the Wave 1 courses. I think it's kind of like somewhere in between, but still it is an improvement. At least it seems like they're listening and they're trying a little harder. But I was playing Mario Kart with my son the other day, and we did I think we did the Triforce Cup, which has like the Hyrule Castle level, but also like the Wario level and a couple of, I don't remember. But then we did that cup, and then we did one of the DLC ones, the one that has like the Ninja House one. And I was like, yeah, it's like, even that one, the Ninja House, is probably the best looking of the DLC courses in Wave 1. But even then, it's like, yeah, these are very noticeably, like, especially so side by side, very noticeably just not as detailed. Everything looks just like a little flatter, I guess. So yeah, it's cool to see them actually. Makes me think like maybe this is why Wave 2 took so long, because they're like, okay, people notice this and we gotta do better. That's what I think. I think it was probably supposed to come out sooner, but Nintendo does listen to the feedback, so they probably at least spent a little more time polishing it up. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Jesse, you look like you've got something on the tip of your tongue, just waiting to speak. Please go ahead.
I was trying to look to see if someone other than Nintendo was developing the DLC, and then Nintendo was doing their own thing, because that's what sometimes a lot of studios will do that. It says that Bandai Namco helped on Deluxe, but not the original 8. So I don't know if they were brought on for DLC, but Bandai Namco, they're the ones that made that weird arcade cabinet Mario Kart VR thing that Nintendo has. If anyone knows what that is.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, actually.
So I wonder if it's the fact that Bandai Namco may be the one primarily working on this as opposed to Nintendo. And it makes me curious that everything's supposed to be coming out over 18 months. But between the first and second pack, there was 4 months. So if it's spaced apart 4 months, would that come out to be 18?
No.
No.
Not if they're doing 6 waves.
Yeah, so they need to start coming out with them after, like, the next one would be in like 2 months or 3 months, and then start doing it like that. If they can.
If they're doing 6 waves at 4 months apart, then that's 24 months. That's 2 years, right? So, yeah, they either need to pick up the pace or ditch that 18-month deadline. But it does make me wonder, like, in 18 months time or like 2 years time, like, are we even still gonna have Switch as our main platform? Like, are they not gonna have moved on to a new hardware?
I was going to say, like, what if how they had Mario Kart 8, and then they had on Switch it was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then they added the DLC to it. They did the same thing with some other games, like Pokken Tournament had DLC for the Wii U, and then they included it in like its own pack, like all-in-one thing for Switch, and then they continue to give it DLC on Switch, just like this with Mario Kart. So I wonder if once again for their next console, because how could you top a Mario Kart game that already has like 100 courses in it? So what if they just come out with like Mario Kart 8 Super Deluxe, this time we're Serious Edition, instead of having to pay the $20 or whatever it is for the DLC added onto it and the game? It's just like everything all in one.
Maybe it's deluxe.
And then they had Double Dash.
Double deluxe.
Yeah.
Double deluxe dash. I don't know.
Are there any courses that have been announced that you would like to see?
That have
Or
not
that
been
hasn't
announced?
been announced that you would like to see?
I was gonna say, wait, what?
I don't know, actually.
They're doing Mushroom Gorge, which makes me happy. Oh, I was thinking of one the other day that I really liked. I like that Yoshi one from Mario Wii, where it's basically just one big circle. That version of Yoshi Falls. There's like multiple versions of Yoshi's Fall. Because my favorite was always the Wii one, which is weird because I'm not a motion control person, but I liked it in that one. It makes zero sense.
I think, well, I mean, the motion controls were pretty, like,
favorite.
Intuitive. And it wasn't like a left versus right-handed thing with Mario Kart, right? Like, you're using both.
That's true.
Both
Once I got the
hands,
hang of it, I could cream anyone in it. But I haven't tried motion controls with 8 Deluxe.
No, me neither.
I don't know if I would.
I'll tell you, one time I had them on accidentally and didn't know, and then I was like, man, I keep turning wrong. Like, what's going on? So, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Toad's Factory. 𝗙𝐾𝐳𝗵𝗲. I loved 𝗙𝐾𝐳𝗵𝗲.
Oh, is that the one where you launch in like a barrel and it sends you to like the top of the... Yeah, okay, that's a good one. That's the winning answer.
And
that's the winning answer.
Gold Mine. I feel like we have something Wario, but it's not the same one, I don't think.
Don't we have Wario's Gold Mine one?
Maybe we do.
There's 2 Wario
there's
ones.
On the Wii that's like different, I thought. I could be totally misremembering.
I think there's 2 Wario stages already. One's like...
There are Wario ones.
I'm pretty sure Wario's Gold Mine is in the Triforce Cup.
It must
already
be. And I just haven't played it a lot.
I might be wrong. I'm not the biggest Mario Kart fan, man, but...
Maybe it was Waluigi Stadium I'm thinking of?
Maybe.
Because we don't have a Waluigi thing.
Until now, with the pinball one. So...
True.
I remember people saying that it was weird that there was... Mario Kart DS had Waluigi Pinball as one of the courses, but Waluigi was not a playable character in that game. And I was like, huh, I didn't know that. I never had Mario Kart DS, so I was like, all right. Yeah.
Okay, I think I would say Toad's Factory and 𝗙𝐾𝐳𝗵𝗲 are 2 that I would really like.
Those are good choices. Those are both good choices. I think most of my favorite levels are from 64, and I think with the addition of Calamari Desert, I think we're pretty much getting the last of like the best of those courses, if we don't have them all already. So I'm good. I don't think there's anything else that like I really am pining for. Like 64 and Double Dash were like my jam, and then I was like I totally did not play any Mario Kart until 8. So I missed a lot of that. So a lot of these are gonna be like new to me, so which is cool. So yeah,
there was a few I missed. Any on portable game systems except Mario Kart 7, which I did play.
Right.
Those are the ones that I don't.
7 was 3DS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had that one. That one had a few specific courses that were fun.
Yeah, I feel like 64 really had like pretty much every course in that game was like iconic in a way. Like I feel like they really had something special with those ones. Yeah.
Nintendo's really taking this everything is here thing to heart.
Yes.
With their games.
Between Smash and this,
I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean,
Smash,
that's the thing.
Mario Kart, frankly, Nintendo Switch Online, which I'm not complaining about that. Even though I have yet to play Ocarina of Time on Switch.
I've only played about 10 minutes of it, to be honest. Maybe enough to get out into Hyrule Field and record myself running around in Hyrule Field for a while. That's about as much I played on Switch. But I think when I next stream the game, I'm going to use Switch because it's just easier than hooking up my N64. So.
Oh, I'm sure. I have the thing that like can hook up my Wii the converter, and it's just there's not much I want to play on there.
Right.
You know, because even with the Wii U, it has stuff that I would play, like Twilight Princess, which I'll probably never finish, and Wind Waker HD. So, and we have a super chat from Taker, 610, donated $2 and said, "Tracks from the original seem so out of place in 8." Some of them do, actually, in my opinion, only because they unnecessarily change some things. Like Coconut Mall, I'm still a little bit peeved about. It's like there was no reason to make that infinitely easier.
Yeah, there's some cases where they do it right though. Like a lot of the Super Nintendo ones, like from Super Mario Kart, they're like there's no geometry. They're like all flat, right? But then Rainbow Road, that's in Mario Kart 8, and they added like the thwomps and the level like sort of like cascades and like I think they did that one justice. Like they did it really well. It's like the same track as the Super Nintendo one, but they updated it to fit with the rest of Mario Kart 8. And I think that was really good. But that wasn't part of any of the DLC courses. So maybe that's part of
yeah. My main thing was just Coconut Mall, because it used to be you had to like study very carefully which escalator was going up, but now there's these big arrows on it. And then the cars at the end would normally be moving, which that's what would stump you at the end. You'd be in first place and you just timed it wrong and you run into one of those carts with one of your Mii characters on it. And I'm like, why would you make that easy?
It's too bad there's not Mii's on there anymore.
To be fair, the last time I played that Coconut Mall, I still ran into a car, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Maybe. I think like the Shy Guys are fine, but it would have been cool to still have Mii's, I think. Putting that out there.
Especially because you'd see those really random Mii's that you'd make, which I get it. It was the Wii. We had more Mii's back then. But you'd have like all the really weird, crazy family members you make on your Mii just for fun. And you're like, oh, look, there's Aunt Helga over there. I don't have an Aunt Helga. That was just the first thing that came to my head.
But the, like, you still have your Mii in Mario Kart 8. So like when you're doing the multiplayer lobbies, it still shows your Mii's. So like Mii's are in the game. They could still have them there. And you know what'd be really cool is if you had Miitopia, if it could read your save file and bring your Mii's from Miitopia over into it.
Yes.
That might be too much programming know-how for me, but
potentially, but like it would be fun. I miss the Mii channel. But I also recognize a lot of the stuff I miss. Sometimes I'm like, well, it's partly nostalgia. I'm like, okay, no, there are some things that are purely nostalgia. I will not deny that.
It was neat. Like, there was the whole thing, like, you could see online, like, all the weird Mii's that people posted. Like, it was just like just people messing around, which is fun inherently in itself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in Wii Sports, that was, like, my favorite thing. I'd do a baseball team, and I'd be like, who's on Team A? Who's on Team B? Out of all of my, like, 30 Mii's, and it would just select all of them.
Pitting your family members against each other through Mii's.
Yeah. Even though I was the only one that played it.
That's actually pretty funny. Natsu said, I want to see my blobfish running into people in the cars at the end of Coconut Mall. I forgot about that Mii. That horrifying Mii. But that's the thing too. Yeah, it would be cool.
Scary, Natsu.
It would be cool that, like, because if you like, I could see if you're doing it single player or whatever, like, or local, if it just was the Shy Guys, but then when you're online, it changes them out for the Mii's of the people who are racing with you. Like, that could be really cool, really well implemented.
Oh yeah. We'll see upside down Daniel.
Yeah, my upside down Mii. Upside down will never die. I've had that Mii since like 2006. I've just carried him from.
That's like since I've had the Wii.
Yeah, I've just carried him through platform to platform. So. Yeah. It's funny. It's always funny seeing people's reactions of that, because sometimes I'll be playing a game and like on my Switch and it'll like come up randomly or for whatever reason. And they're always like, what the heck is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People's reactions are the best part of that. So, yes. Jesse, do you have anything to add here? We just got off topic. We just started talking about Mii's. Yep. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Mario Kart.
Sort of to what you were saying, things outside of tracks that I would like to see. I know it's not ready at all the places yet. They're still developing it at some areas. But the Mario Kart Koopa's Challenge AR? Yeah, I think it's AR, not VR. Thing they have at the Universal Studio or the Nintendo Land parks. In the
Mhm.
same way that like
Oh,
Pokemon always
oh.
has stuff to where it's like you can come to GameStop or this place on this day and you get this free Pokemon. It would be cool if you could get like a special car or character or something. Or the track that they use in the game. Like if you go to the place, then maybe you can get it as like free DLC or something. I think that would be something really cool they could do. But I was looking, and apparently Nintendo, Bandai Namco, no one is primarily working on that game. I'm sure some of them are, like the lead developers or whatever, helping out, but it's an entirely different place that just makes all the other Universal Studios rides. And Mario Kart Tour, yeah, the cell phone game. It is being made primarily with Bandai Namco partnering with DNA, which is interesting because I
Right.
didn't even think DNA was doing anything anymore.
Didn't
I just
Nintendo
thought
buy
they-
them or something at some point?
Yeah,
I seem to remember us covering that news.
yeah, they paid tons and tons and tons of money and gave them like a percentage of their Nintendo stock and everything.
Oh.
That way they could exclusively develop mobile games, which seemed to work out at first with like Mario Run and stuff, but then it seems like there's like Miitopia or whatever it was, and like it ended up just getting canceled and taken off the shop. Or Miitomo? What was it called?
Yeah,
That weird
I think
movie?
Miitomo. No, Miitomo. I think it was Miitomo. They like totally just pulled the plug on that game. It was
Yeah.
like trying to be like social network sort of thing, but
I
but,
vaguely
yeah.
remember that.
yeah. The problem was it got very boring very quickly, and there was very little you could actually do. And yeah, it just seemed like haphazard in a lot of ways. Yeah, I forgot about that
Do
game.
you
Totally
want
forgot about that.
to take the second half of the Mario Kart?
Why don't you, Jesse? Why don't you take us away?
Okay.
You two talk about this is your
Well, I mean,
wheelhouse more than mine.
the audience won't think my voice is nearly as great as yours, but I can try.
I
I
disagree.
can try my best.
People love. They say
This comes
Jesse's so relaxing to listen to. I love his milky voice.
It's true.
And I go, why milky? Why is that the choice of words?
I know.
It's
What?
just because I'm just never loud. Like I could try to be loud, and you would just be like, "Speak up, can't hear you."
If you did the stuff a lot of YouTubers do,
Right.
which that's their style and that's fine, I would be very concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be like, what did Jesse drink before this
What?
podcast? I don't
Well,
understand.
whenever I got used to making videos and talking on the microphone, because everyone at first is like, "Oh, I hate my voice," and then they just kind of get used to it after a while. I had everyone telling me a bunch of different things, and I found it best to just talk and record with the microphone the same way that I would be talking to someone in person. So that's just how I do it. Because there's people that was like Andy from McIntyre Productions, Daniel, you know him. You may as well. For everyone else, you can go check out McIntyre Productions for a bunch of great Zelda videos and a very, very nice, smooth voice, and or at least the older videos. And the he told me to talk slow and make sure that I'm enunciating and really close to the microphone and aren't getting too loud. And then I had someone else who I won't mention said to turn the microphone down. That way you can be louder
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll sound more professional. And I'm like, I don't think yelling means professional, but sure. So I
Yelling
had people giving
definitely
me
doesn't mean
different
professional. There was a
You
TV
can
show.
project and it won't break the mic.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
I was watching this TV show called Suits the other day. You probably know of or have at least heard of Suits. But the thing I can't get out of my head is, you know, like there's the two main guys in it. There's Mike and Harvey. And Mike's like he talks like a normal person, but Harvey, every sentence he yells. He doesn't speak a normal speaking voice at any time in the show throughout what I've seen so far. And I'm like, it's actually kind of annoying. Like, that's all.
Would be annoying.
I'm not that far into the show, but I'm just like, I feel like the editors of the show, like they like turn his mic down so that his like the volume level matches everyone's, but his delivery is like constantly, he's always like putting it on and yelling, and it's distracting for me because I don't know, like in theater more is more, but on film less is more. You know, there's different acting styles between the two, and it feels like he would be superb in theater, but he's on film and he's very much overdoing it in some cases, in some ways. Yeah, so there's just not as much nuance. It's more just like, I'm cocky, so I'm gonna act very cocky, and it's like, okay, dude, lower your voice. Like, so. But then again, I know people like that in real life too, so maybe there is an element of truth to it. So, but yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Some
loud.
people like to be heard.
Yes, loud does not always mean more professional. Loud just means loud sometimes. That's all. That was a bit of a deviation. I'm sorry, Jesse. Please tell us.
No,
take us away.
I was the one that started the deviation.
Take us away.
Nintendo Life has an article out on their beautiful website. It says Mario Kart 8 Deluxe data mine might have leaked details about future DLC tracks. A possible outline of the next booster course waves. Written by Liam Doolan. I hope I got that right. It says, not long after the first wave, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's booster course pass arrived, an individual known as 𝗙𝗂6564 was able to crack the DLC and apparently work out what Mario Kart game each of the future DLC tracks would be based on. The original upload revealed that Turnip Cup would have Tour, SNES, N64, and DS courses, and the Propeller Cup would feature a Tour, GBA, Wii, and Mystery course. You can see this in the video tweet dating back to March. And it's a tweet from 𝗙𝗂6564. It says, crack the DLC with minutes to spare. Unreleased tracks have prefixes that may correspond and leak future tracks. With the follow-up tweet, here's a showcase of all the cups with potential prefixes. We have not confirmed if it is grabbing this information from garbage data, which just means that like leftover data that they had left in the game that wasn't used. But if there was any leftover data that wasn't used, I imagine it would eventually be used since they're basically adding every single track almost to the game anyways. Let's see here. In the end, the tracks announced for the Turnip Cup and Propeller Cup all matched up, with Nintendo revealing New York Minute, Mario Circuit 3, Calamari Desert, Waluigi Pinball, Sydney Sprint, Snowland Mushroom Gorge, and Sky High Sunday for Wave 2. Considering this was accurate, it's now got many Mario Kart fans wondering if the rest of the potential prefixes are correct. If you are interested to see what will be represented, here's a possible lineup. So Rock Cup has Tour, DS, GBA, 3DS. Moon Cup has Tour, GameCube, Mystery, 3DS. Fruit Cup has Tour, Wii, DS, ? I love Fruit Cups. Boomerang has Tour, GameCube, GBA, and a second Tour. Feather Cup has Tour, Wii, GBA, Tour. Cherry Cup has Tour, GameCube, SNES, ? Acorn Cup has Tour, Wii, Mystery. Spiny Cup has Tour, GameCube, Mystery, Wii. So, yeah. It's not exactly what tracks are going to appear, but it gives you an idea of what to look forward to.
Yeah, I feel like that the headline kind of promises more than than they actually deliver.
Yeah.
But
I was waiting for them to say, like, these are the exact tracks we data mine.
But that was not the case. But I mean, like, it gives kind of an idea of what we might see, I guess, more, or what games what we might see is from. If that makes sense. It doesn't. It makes more sense what Jesse said. But anyways, yeah, it does feel like. Well, I mean, I know that's kind of what you have to do is you have to pull people in with your headline, right? But yeah, it does. I was kind of expecting more like a track by track almost, or even just like a pool of tracks that these might be it. But that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, there's no in all of these waves, they haven't promised anything new. It's just all returning courses, right? Is that correct? Like that was the initial promise, was like 48 tracks new to Mario Kart 8, but they're all returning courses from previous games and Tour.
It might be that they're forgetting about Tour, because there were a couple that I thought like, oh, I've never seen this one before and it doesn't look old, and I was like, oh wait, Mario Kart Tour.
Yeah, and there's a couple in Wave 1 that are, there's like, what, 3 Tour courses? There's like 3 or 4 of them are from Tour, I think.
Yeah.
And...
Do you think?
Sorry?
No, you go.
I was just saying, like, the Tour courses, I noticed, they're like, noticeably shorter than the rest. Some of them are cool. Like, the Paris Promenade one is a pretty cool one because it, like, changes the actual layout of the track between laps, which is neat.
Oh yeah.
But
it threw me off at first. I was like, why does this feel weird?
Right, and they like go backwards on like the last lap or something. But yeah, which is, it's cool though. Like, it's because you don't really see that in other courses. But then yeah, like there's like the Toad one, and there's also a Tokyo one that's like really short. Yeah, so it's I'm part of me is kind of hoping they don't have too many of these Tour tracks, because I'm sure there are a lot of them, but like Tour is a mobile game first and foremost, so it's like meant to be shorter bursts of play than a home console game, and so it makes sense for Tour that the tracks would be shorter. But then it's like in Mario Kart 8, I don't know, I feel like there's something missing, if that makes sense, with some of those tracks, aside from just the visuals, of course. Yeah. But yeah,
I wonder if because they make I know they're bringing the Tour tracks to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but they also have other classic tracks in Mario Kart Tour, right?
I honestly don't know. I think I played it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I also barely played Tour. I think I downloaded it. I played like a couple races, and I noticed that when I was playing the game or running it, that my phone battery drained like really quickly.
I believe
it was like 1% a minute. It was really bad. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm done. Like I'm and I didn't have that, like, yeah, I've said before, like, I enjoy Mario Kart, but I'm not like a huge Mario Kart fan. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. I'm good. I'm fine. So there is that. So yeah, I really couldn't say if any. I don't think there's a lot of, if there is any returning courses, I don't think there's a lot of them though. I think they're focused more on like doing those like real life locations in there. Including one that was in my hometown, Vancouver. So, which I thought was, I remember seeing that in this. I was like, oh, that's my place. That's my jam. Not my actual house, but you know, that's my hood. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah.
So with some of the DLC courses looking worse than the original game, I wonder if they're using Tour as sort of a foundation to build the levels off of for Deluxe.
Maybe. Also, I don't know if it's the case for you, Geek, but Jesse's video totally just froze for a sec. Were you seeing that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It is frozen for me.
I'm sorry, Jesse.
Okay.
Your
I
voice.
Switch over to the phone then.
Your voice sounds fine. You're just a frozen man.
Yeah. At least he's in a decent pose.
Oh wait.
He was like that for a second.
It came back for a sec. Now he gone. Oh.
Anything?
You're just two squares dancing. Two dancing squares. It's okay. It's not a big deal. I mean, this is primarily a podcast, I guess. The audio is more important. So, yeah. But,
Very
yeah.
true.
but yeah.
Do I sound okay though?
Yeah, oh, you sound good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You
Okay,
sound beautiful.
then instead of switching to my phone, where I sound a lot worse, since it's close to the end of the podcast, I guess if this is okay with people.
Yeah. We'll just carry on. But, yeah. Actually, Aaron, so I mentioned Vancouver being one of the tracks. Aaron said with Mario Kart Home Circuit, it can be my house. That is true. That I always forget about Home Circuit.
It's true.
I always forget about that.
Yeah.
I feel so bad because there's so much potential in that. And I played it for like we got it for my son, and then we like collectively played together with it for like a week. Totally dropped it after that. I feel bad. But I feel like there was a lot of potential with just the concept of Home Circuit, because it's like I just wanted to see like what insane tracks are people gonna make in their house with this, you know?
Right.
And I've just never seen anything come of it, which is too bad, because like any other game where there's like customization, you see Animal Crossing or Minecraft or even
Right.
Mario Maker or just anything like that, like people come up with the craziest stuff and it's so cool. But not this time. I guess it's because they had to make it in real life instead of in the game. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Like
too
how
bad.
Mario Maker blew up, but this did not.
This did not, no, which is too bad. It's a cool concept though, which is just too bad. So
Very much so.
But yes, Mario Kart, I don't think there's much else to say. Or I don't have anything else to say again. Mario Kart's not as much my wheelhouse, but
Nope.
looking forward to Wave 2.
Is
I
that a
think
pun?
sometime after it shows up, we'll have to stream it again, because we did stream it a couple times with Wave 1, and it was really fun.
Mhm.
So that'll be cool. We'll see. No promises yet, because he gone.
Oh.
He gone.
He gone.
He gone. Oh no. Now you're in the boundary between places. There we go. Okay. Maybe he'll come back. Oh well. But
I
yes,
hope so.
Mario Kart was fun when we streamed that together. So maybe we'll get to do that again.
Where y'all learned my pseudo swear words.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was the best part of those streams. That was the best part, by and large. No, but part of it also was just, I don't know, it was cool to like stream with the community, and like we both stream a fair amount,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but rarely crossover, which is yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, schedules. Also, I just play Animal Crossing at this point.
I don't blame you.
It was like, so aren't you gonna finish like Kirby and Twilight Princess HD? And I'm like, that is such a good idea.
Good idea, but
I'll play Animal Crossing again. I'll play Breath of the Wild once we have a actual release date for
right.
the sequel. In which case, I'll be like, okay, now I know I have to defeat Calamity Ganon. That's all that's left to do for me. I did the 4 Divine Beasts.
He back. Jesse.
Is he?
Hi. Welcome. I gotta fix my layout when you pop in and out. Welcome back, Jesse.
Sorry.
Welcome back. You okay? You alive?
I think so.
Excellent. I'm glad. We missed you.
I could
Yes.
tell.
Yes.
The world just seemed so much slumber while I was gone.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth.
Mailbag time, I guess.
Yeah, we'll wrap
Do we
this
have
up
any other
then.
news?
No, I don't think so. Not really.
No, we have important news.
What's that?
Oh yeah.
How have you been, Geek?
I'm busy, very busy. And you might think, well, since it's not real late at night, she's gonna stay for mailbag. Except my head has started hurting real bad. So
Talking
I
to me
need
will do that.
No. I think it's the screen, not wearing my glasses, and I probably just haven't had enough water. Because where the headache is, I'm like, pretty sure that's dehydration. And I wanted to stream later tonight, so
Gotta stay hydrated, kids.
I need to make sure where I get water. I'm alive. I promise I'm alive. I haven't made a video in like over a month. Well over a month, because I posted a video a month ago, but I had recorded that like 2 months prior. So, you know, I've just been very, very busy. I'm hoping that when I start my new schedule, or at least in the next couple weeks, 'cause this is my last week of work, and then I have like a 2-week break before I start again. So my hope is that I'll actually get stuff done in that time. We'll see. But that's actually the perfect spot for me to potentially bow out and get some headache medicine / water.
Understandable. I hope you feel better. Of course.
Yes. Have a good evening. Night.
People are just gonna think you
Like,
that you just hate answering questions, but
And I like mailbag's like one of my favorite parts too. So I feel bad about that. But I'm hoping once like I have a new schedule and it's like really set, I'll be able to consistently join streams again. That would be nice.
Yeah.
And not bow out before mailbag. That's the goal. So I mean, be on the lookout if y'all want. I might be streaming later tonight.
Do you know what you'll
If
stream
my
if you
headache
do?
goes away.
If you do stream? Any
you
plans
think?
for anything specific? Animal Crossing? It's just gonna be Animal Crossing.
No.
It's Animal Crossing. It's
Like I am a woman of my word. I would totally finish Kirby and Twilight Princess HD.
totally.
But Natsu pointed out, I did play Fall Guys for a little bit.
That's true.
I love Fall Guys, but I mostly like playing that with my friends from up north. So, which technically all of my friends are up north. I just realized that everyone is north of me.
I feel like Fall Guys is one of those
Very
games that's
odd.
better just to play with friends, though. I feel like that's just kind of the nature of that game.
Yeah, tis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the Geek Apprentice. I have a YouTube channel that I've been streaming more than making videos. That's a thing.
That's the thing. Well, thanks for being here. So we won't keep you, I guess.
Yes, glad I could finally join after like forever.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been too long. Well, it's been even just a couple weeks since we actually managed to schedule a podcast. So yeah,
Touche.
there is that
Touche.
too.
All right. Well, I shall hopefully see you guys later then.
Peace out.
All right. Bye, y'all. Enjoy the mailbag.
All right. And then there was 2. Okay, I just gotta shuffle you up here, Jesse. You're shuffled. There's pictures in the boxes.
That's my favorite state of being.
You've been shuffled.
Yes.
Good. I'm glad you like to be shuffled. Mailbag time. For those who are like, what the heck are they talking about? Throw us some questions in the chat here and we'll answer them. If you're a Patreon or what have you of the Game Over guy himself, we'll prioritize your question, of course, because of reasons. But I was just looking in the mailbag chat in the Discord here. And we have a question from Natsu. We'll just use that to start off, to kick things off here. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a little burp. Did we answer this last time, actually? I'm just looking at it. I'm like, maybe we already did this question.
I can't
I don't-
see it.
I don't remember if we did or not. So I'm just going to read it here. Natsu asked, now that it's officially summer and we have less than a year until the release of the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, assuming there are no farther delays, when do you think Nintendo will start advertising it more? And when would you expect a release date announcement? I do sort of feel like we answered this already, but we're going to just do it again. Because I don't remember if we did. I don't want to skip it if we missed it. So I would not be surprised personally if we don't get a release date or title reveal, etc. until January. At this point. Because Nintendo has had a very strong focus so far on just advertising in the short term. of just things that are upcoming and like very soon to be released. So we have had like Bayonetta's coming soon, Splatoon's coming soon, Advance Wars may or may not show up eventually. So there's a lot of games coming out this year, to be honest, that they're probably going to focus more on for the interim. Xenoblade just came out, right? So we'll see. But I think that it's like, if you recall, they didn't actually give us a release date for Breath of the Wild until like 2 months before the game came out, right? So so there is that.
Say, when was that?
January.
I don't know if it was the
11th.
first reveal of the Nintendo Switch, where
That's
it was
right.
like Miyamoto and I think @Aonuma, and they were playing it in front of the. They were standing up playing it in front of the TV.
What?
I don't remember what it was for.
So the release date was shown at the Switch event on January, I want to say 11th, 2017. And it was that whole event was mostly led by Koizumi. And he showed, they showed off a bunch of games and stuff. They had like a really nice sizzle reel. They showed off a lot of the different features of the Joy-Cons and everything like that. And then at the very end, they had the trailer for Breath of the Wild with the release date, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, that was less than 2 months before the game came out, because it was January, I want to say 11th is the date that's in my head. And then the game came out March 3rd. So, but I mean, we did know about the game because it was 2014. They announced it at E3, 2014 Game Awards. They had the gameplay demo there. Then E3, then Twilight Princess HD's trailer. They had a snippet, about 11 seconds of footage there. Then E3 2016 was this huge blowout. And then Game Awards at 2016, they also had gameplay demo with Nate Bildorf and Bill Trinan. And then that January event, release date gets revealed, then released in March 2017. So, like, honestly, not very much. That's over the course of, like, 3 years, like, barely any coverage of the game. It was a huge hit. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. We've gotten 2 trailers, plus a snippet of gameplay from the delay. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see anything until January. And then they drop a release date then. Maybe not January, maybe February even, because they often do directs in February, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a thought. Do you have any counter thoughts, supplementary thoughts?
No, I was just trying to think of what it was that I was remembering, where it was like, not the Wii U where they're sitting beside the TV, but there's a Switch presentation where they're playing, I think they're playing it on Switch. They're talking about rolling the boulder down the hill or something.
That's Jimmy Fallon. That was Reggie on Jimmy Fallon's show.
No, but I specifically remember Miyamoto in this.
He was there but he wasn't
With
like
𝗠𝗎uma?
I don't think 𝗠𝗎uma was there though.
No, Miyamoto was in the crowd. He did that thumb thing. Yeah, that's not what
His
I'm
classic.
thinking about.
Okay. I'm not
Maybe it
sure
was
what
a
you're thinking.
presentation with the Wii U version, and I'm just thinking it was the Switch version.
Maybe because they did show the Wii U version together, and that's when they talk about Majora's Mask for a bit, and they talk about Star Fox Zero as well. Just good banter. But yeah, they didn't show anything with the Switch version until January. Like, everything up until that January was Wii U focused. So
When all else fails, remember Age of Clams.
which had like a Twitter reveal like 2 months before the game came out. Yeah.
And then even after Nintendo released a fully playable demo, like the first chapter of the game, no one still understood what it was.
But it sold very well.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird. What just happened?
I don't know,
did
your
it-
video cut out.
Yeah, but that's weird. All right. Well,
Is my video cut out?
your video is good. It's just mine. Well, mine cut out for Discord, but not for the stream. So I'm just gonna leave it and hope I don't want to. I don't want to tinker with it and break something. So stream
Fair
settings
enough.
are.
Are there any
super
other
finicky.
questions in the thing that we call a chat?
Now to ask, what the heck is a mailbag? What's a mailbag? I don't know. Do you know?
I think it's fictional.
Oh. Okay.
It's like, do you know when you work at a place that has like an anonymous complaint box where you can just put in all your complaints?
Oh yeah.
It's like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I just renamed it to Zelda Mailbag. That way, when everyone sticks in their complaints, I don't feel bad.
Do you remember when we called it the Curiosity Shop?
I do.
that was a time. That was a whole
That
era.
was the time. I stole that from Axel,
Yeah.
the Beast,
Yeah. Good times.
and then I invited him on, and I was like, "Why did you stop making videos?"
It's fair. He just didn't want to.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, that's fair. That's fair.
That's basically it. Yeah.
He's like,
Cool guy.
didn't want to, and then he did again, and then he didn't anymore. I feel like he fell
Yeah.
off the face of the earth again.
I mean,
Like, or maybe
it
I'm just
happens.
I'm just also very bad at keeping up with people. I really try. I'm so bad at keeping up with people. So, oops. Anyways, let's see. Anyone in the chat with a question, feel free to type it in here now, and we will answer it maybe, because we don't seem to have any other patron questions in the Discord. If you're a patron and you're watching this and you're like, they didn't answer my question, ping one of us in Discord. We'll make sure. Yes.
I'm just wishing the web page would load.
Oh,
That way I could see the comments, see what people are saying.
well, we got this one from Rabbit23GSO. Do you believe the new regime in Nintendo is doing well, and what expectations do you have for them? And that's a good question. So we've got, I'm guessing by the new regime, we're referring to, sort of like the upper management side of things. Like, Reggie's gone. We've got Doug Bowser. Of course, Iwata, rest in peace. He's no longer with us, so they went with Kimishima, and now it's Furukawa. Unless I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse. And so there's new faces in the upper management side of Nintendo. One thing I have noticed, I think from like just a business standpoint, that they're doing well. Obviously, Switch is selling really well. Games are selling really well on Switch. I just feel like there's sort of an element of charm that's been missing. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I wouldn't expect anyone to try to mimic or live up to Iwata's, style of presentation or presence, because that was something that was really special to him. But and same goes for Reggie. Reggie had like a presence that you just don't see in like company presidents. Like, what other company's president has been as like influential and big a name in the public eye as like Reggie and Iwata? Like, that just doesn't happen in other companies. And that's something that's kind of magically Nintendo. But I just haven't, like, Doug Bowser does not do Nintendo Directs. He's just like not in the public eye as much. And that's fair. Honestly, if it were me, I probably wouldn't be either, because I'm a little more introverted, a little more shy. That could just be the case with him as well. He kind of made a big splash when he first got the role. And then he very much fell out of the public eye, except that he occasionally tweets about loving Metroid Dread. Love you, Doug, for that. So, but yeah, it's I don't know. There was just a certain charm to that era and maybe part of it was because Nintendo was actually struggling a bit from the business standpoint in like during the Wii U era, and so they were just trying to really make it good for the fans that they had there. And now they're like, well, we don't need to because this is gonna sell either way. Maybe that's it, but I don't know. Like I do miss it a bit, I guess. You know, there was something special about that time, in my opinion. But yeah, like from a business standpoint, obviously they're doing very well. They're making lots of money. So, and that I'm sure as far as like their investors go and shareholders and the board and et cetera, I'm sure that's really what they're looking for and what counts the most, as it were. But, you know, just for me being someone who loves talking about Nintendo and being present with the fan base and everything, then, you know, it is kind of a downer at the same time. But that's my thought. Jesse, what do you think? Please, I've been talking too much, so you tell me your thoughts.
Yes, you have been, but never too much. I think they've just been busier, because when Reggie and Iwata was there and all that, like that era that was like middle of the Wii U 3DS era, and that was all they had to focus on, and the Wii U really didn't get very many games at all. And the 3DS games weren't necessarily big, huge games that they wanted to. They would focus on them, but not as much as like the bigger brother version of that game for the Wii U or Switch or whatever. Like, Hey Pikmin on the 3DS didn't get the same love and fanfare as like Pikmin 3, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't deserve the same love and fanfare either.
Or Metroid. Oh, what was the name of it? Almost forgot.
Are you talking about Federation Force?
Federation Force, yes, Metroid
Yeah.
Prime Federation Force. And
That's a
obviously
game
that turned around
exists.
with oh, I keep forgetting all the name. The remake of 2.
Samus Returns. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That got quite a bit more fanfare, but usually on the Wii U, that's where they put most of their focus, and they didn't really have that much to focus on, and it seemed like that gave them more time to build up those releases where they were sort of far and few between on the Wii U, and where they had time to plan to build all of them up. I think that might be why they had the Nintendo Directs more often. And now it's not just like they got rid of the 3DS, but for a while it was the 3DS and the Switch. And at that time it still wasn't the same as when it was the 3DS and the Wii U, because the Switch was getting a lot more games a lot faster. And not only did they have those two consoles to focus on, but they also had their mobile games that they were experimenting with. They had apparently plans for this big theme park, plans to get into all this movie stuff that they have going on with Mario, and so they're just separated out for more than just the two things to focus on. They have like a lot more to focus on, and not only do they have a lot more to focus on, but the same home console that their main focus would be on, they also have a lot more bigger games coming out for it than the previous console. So I just think that they're spread a bit too thin, I guess is the term you could use. but I also think that's why people like 𝗷𝗵𝗃 has turned to like Tantalus and 𝗏𝗏. Well, they were with 𝗏𝗏 at the time too, but like they partnered more with Tantalus. They have the thing with the Dynasty Warriors team for Hyrule Warriors, and instead of 𝗷𝗵𝗃 being like the main person in charge of just one or two games, he has like Fujibayashi directing the game or the main game, and then 𝗷𝗵𝗃 just like is basically where Miyamoto was like 4 or 5 years ago, where
Right.
Miyamoto used to be the one that was kind of keeping an eye on all the different Zelda stuff going on, but he also kept an eye on a bunch of other stuff too. But yeah, I think that's just it. They have more games coming out that they focus on. They're probably not spending as much time hyping up and promoting the games, because when the Wii U wasn't selling well, if they didn't hype up a game and didn't successfully promote it and it didn't sell well, then that would be a huge loss for Nintendo. So it benefited them to work more on these Nintendo Directs and stuff and be more upfront with the fans and stuff, and making appearances and being part of meme puppets and everything like that, because they needed to do almost everything they could to try and have more fans come and purchase the Wii U and all the Wii U games. Whereas now, if they don't successfully promote a game on Switch, then it's still probably going to sell enough to where they don't really have to worry about it. And if it does fail, then they have another game coming out later that month that maybe it'll be a success.
That,
whereas on the Wii,
yeah. No, I was just agreeing with what you said. Like, that makes total sense. Like, they don't have to try as hard to be in the spotlight. They're already in the spotlight, whereas they were willing to do weird gimmicks and stuff, like have these wacky directs with Reggie and Iwata fighting each other in suits to promote Smash or things like that. You know, like I guess there was a willingness to just try things that were a little more out there just to get some attention, where they don't have to now. But I was just agreeing with you. Please continue.
That's basically it. So like, if a game on Wii U didn't sell well, then it was like 2 or 3 months until their next big Nintendo Wii U game. And with the Switch, there's like 1 or 2 every month, and then there's a bunch of lower tier games that come out in between. So I think that's basically the main reason that it's like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. But are you happy about it? Like, how do you? But what? Those are the facts. But like, what are your feelings about it? You know, how does that make you feel, Jesse?
Yeah, okay. Have you ever watched Scooby-Doo?
Yes.
I feel like Shaggy, when he like turns his head and Scooby eats a sandwich. Yeah.
What does that mean?
I mean, you're supposed to tell me that. No, so
I don't know what that means.
I think it would be cool if they did more stuff like that. Like, I think obviously they can't do the Iwata asks, which is something he did for a really, really long time, like 10 years or longer.
Right.
But
and it was pretty cool, to be honest.
They could do, yeah, it was really, really cool. They could do an interesting take on like a successor to that, if you want to call it, where it's like Bowser asks,
Oh yeah.
and then they could just like theme it after like the evil boss questioning, trying to find the flaws in the game. I don't know.
I don't know. But no, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. Obviously, more Nintendo Directs would be nice, but where they are fewer between, we do get surprises like Age of Clams just being dropped on Twitter randomly. And it makes, whenever a big direct does happen, it kind of makes it feel more special, but at the same time, it also makes it a lot more disappointing if it doesn't really give us anything that great. I don't like. I would like them to do more stuff like they used to, but I understand they're busier than they used to. So
Yeah.
my solution: hire the fake president Sony did when the PlayStation 3 came out. They had
There you go. Oh,
it's
right.
basically
They had that whole marketing campaign, right? With the guy who... Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
yeah, and then he ended up getting fired because he appeared in a Target commercial that was promoting the Nintendo Wii. But like he would come out and give big speeches during their E3 and at other conferences, and he would basically just act like a funny, charismatic CEO or president of PlayStation. And he would be in a bunch of dumb commercials that were funny. And I think Nintendo could do something like that if the people who are actually in charge of games in the consoles are too busy, then it would be fun to see that. But I guess that's kind of what Kit and Krista did on the Nintendo Minute.
Sorta. I mean...
Or at least like a newer, updated version of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, too, is they could just have people who are, like, act as creators who are, like, the face of the brand, in a way. Obviously, like, Nintendo Minute was, like, very much, like, Kit and Krista's thing. And so, like, they've even expressed, they're like, well, if Nintendo wants to keep doing it, they can. And they're good sports about it, of course. But, like, I would hope they would do something a little different with it. They've kind of started like dabbling with like Treehouse stuff, like Treehouse Plays videos and stuff like that. I just want more, I guess, like personality injected into it. Do you know what I mean? And because like there's people in Treehouse that are pretty notable people with like really fun personalities, or they have really fun banter and stuff. But like a lot of it feels very PR, fake smiles, and stuff like that too sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
They could have hire someone to be Miyamoto's long lost brother.
Miyamoto Jr. Just bring Miyamoto's son on.
Give him a bunch of skits to do.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, I think we can move on because I got another question here that's a pretty interesting one, I think.
Final one?
Sure. Interesting question comes from Aaron, who asked, if more Zelda games are made with Ganon not as the main villain, would you prefer that they take place before or after Ocarina of Time? Honestly, I think this is an interesting question. I could go either way with it. I think as long as the game is really fun and good, I don't mind either placement technically. But I do have a bit of a contingency, is that if Ganondorf's the main villain and the game takes place before Ocarina of Time, so pre-OOT but no Ganon, I do not think the Master Sword should be in the game at all.
Wait. Why?
Because in my head, there's something kind of poetic about the end of Skyward Sword, how that game ends and leaves the Master Sword, and then finding the sword in Ocarina of Time. There's just something between those two moments that, in my head, they're connected in a way that I would not want to disrupt. I think the Master Sword is kind of like the Ganon killer, and you could use it against a different villain. but I always kind of have liked when they've sort of stepped away from it a bit. For the games with Vaati as the villain, they have the Four Sword instead, for example, as sort of like that ultimate weapon. Or they could just not have either, or something new even is always good. New things are good too.
Spirit Tracks, Phantom Hourglass, Majora's Mask.
Yeah, all those games have not had like the Master Sword or the Four Sword or Ganon. And both Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass had like unique sacred swords that were unique to those games, which were not the Master Sword, but like there was the Phantom Sword and the Locomo Sword, which were both visually kind of similar to the Master Sword in their shape and color palettes, but not the Master Sword. But those both have been pretty cool games with, I don't know. I just think it's kind of refreshing. I don't think, like, it's kind of refreshing when they step away from Ganon and the Master Sword and like those tropes. I love them. I don't want them to be gone forever. I think they should always have a place in the series, but I don't think they should always be in every game. So I don't know. I just think if they place it before, I don't think the Master Sword should be there. But if they place it afterwards, I think then it's kind of free game in my head at least. But I think honestly that there's like this 10,000 plus year span between every game and Breath of the Wild. They could fit a lot into that. So, but yes, Jesse, sorry, please. What were you gonna say? Tell us your thoughts.
I was just gonna say that it's been really nice doing the podcast with you, Daniel. Thank you for having me on.
But that doesn't answer Aaron's question.
No, so when I think of Ocarina of Time, I keep thinking of the interviews where they kept trying to emphasize that being basically the origin story for Ganon. Because before that, you only seen Ganon. This time you've seen Ganondorf and the people that he comes from and the place he comes from and all that backstory. And if you went before that, at first my original thought was like, is it going to be like Ganondorf Senior? Like whoever his great something grandfather was? But technically, Ocarina of Time doesn't say how old Ganondorf is. And he doesn't really age that much through like Wind Waker or Twilight Princess. And they do know magic, so maybe they could come up with a reason for why he would be there like hundreds of years before if it's not a different Ganondorf. I think they've only done a second Ganondorf once, and I wasn't really a big fan of it. I think it was Four Swords, where it was a completely new Ganon.
Yeah, Four Swords Adventure, and yeah, I don't care for that either personally. But I mean, the question specifically is like if we don't have Ganon, a game with no Ganon.
We don't have Ganon.
Yeah, no Ganon. Do you want me to read it again? Actually, if more Zelda games are made with Ganon not as the villain, would you prefer they take place before or after Ocarina of Time? So I mean, because yeah, of course, if Ganondorf's in there, it has to be after. Like Ocarina it is his origin story. It has to be.
So,
but if it's not him,
I would say after, for one specific reason, and that is hopes of it being a Twilight Princess 2. Which would also make it come between Twilight Princess and, I guess, technically, isn't it Four Swords at the end? Four Swords Adventures?
Sorry, I was nodding. I realized that you can't see my video. Yes, Four Swords Adventure. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
Of
going
course,
to say
what's
that
a-
would come between
yeah.
Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, but even then it's still
Yeah.
before Four Swords. But yeah, I say after just because I think a Twilight Princess 2 would be interesting. They could always go back and retell whatever the story of the hero of men that they talk about in Minish Cap. They could make something not necessarily a sequel to Skyward Sword, but something shortly after it, like maybe a couple of 100 years, and we could see how Hyrule changed from Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker. So seeing something like that, but for Skyward Sword, seeing how it changes over 100 years or a couple 100 years, and maybe there's a different type of evil person there. I kind of like what Nintendo started to do with Twilight Princess, where they gave us like a secondary main boss with like Zant and then Ghirahim later on.
Right.
I like that because it kind of gave us like that new boss to fight, but it also still kept Ganondorf in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of like a middle ground between the two. Like having Zant as sort of initially the primary antagonist and then kind of being swapped out for Ganondorf later on when he's sort of revealed to be the puppet master, as it were. So
yeah. Betty and Skull Kid and Majora's Mask were great as well. So I mean, like Demise felt a bit similar to Ganondorf, but I think that was kind of the point.
right. But I think Demise
But
was
all the
handled
other-
a little better because even though Ghirahim is like the primary antagonist almost, Demise is like foreshadowed constantly throughout the game. And you know, like the mission that Ghirahim is on is to revive Demise. So it's not like he comes out of the woodwork out of nowhere and you're like, who's this guy? What's he doing here? Whereas
Yeah.
like Twilight Princess with Ganondorf, if you hadn't played Ocarina of Time, I can imagine that twist, the baddie swap, just wouldn't hit home the same way. You know?
Who's this giant flaming floating head?
Yeah, like why is he important? What Zant was so cool. Who's this guy? You know, like yeah, if you didn't know, then like yeah, I feel like it just wouldn't hit hard the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Nintendo did a great job with Skull Kid, with using Majora's Mask to kind of like put the little curses on everyone, and then it
Yeah.
ends up being the main guy. And then Vatty was an interesting main bad guy as well. So I kind of hope Nintendo does do that. Maybe, hopefully, they could do something like that after Breath of the Wild. I like it. But I'm going to have to go with after, though, because if I say after, that gives it a chance of being a Twilight Princess sequel, and it also maybe perhaps gives it a chance of having the return of Vatty.
After, but it's in the adult timeline. No more Twilight Princess sequel.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yuga as well is, I guess, a good example of that, though, where he's sort of like a.
I forgot all about Yuga.
Yeah, no, I was thinking A Link Between Worlds. I played it recently, or just a few months back now, and it's like that game is solid. That game is superbly good.
Poor Aaron in chat. He says he did play Twilight Princess before Ocarina.
Oh really? Oh no. Okay, so then actually, Aaron will have a better perspective on this. Like, did that twist land for you? I want to know, because like, yeah, like for anyone who's played Ocarina of Time then and knows Ganondorf and what he's capable of and all that, the sages going like, his name is Ganondorf, and then you see the cutscene of like the flames and stuff, like that's all callback to Ocarina in a very obvious way, and it's like, oh, that's chilling, you know. that gives you the goosebumps. But like if you didn't have that context, which it kind of relies on, I want to know if that landed for you, if you're just like, oh, okay, there's another bad guy, I guess. Yeah, it's curious. Let us know, but no pressure. In the meantime, Jesse, I think that pretty much wraps it up for the mailbag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do you feel? How you
I
feeling?
feel like Shaggy when Fred brings him a new sandwich after Scooby eats his old one. So I had some ups and downs, and now it's back up.
I don't understand this sandwich analogy.
Earlier, I joked about being sad, like Scooby-Doo when Shaggy has his sandwich ate by Scooby-Doo.
All right, I didn't watch enough
Yes.
Scooby-Doo, I guess.
It's okay. It's just as long as you have a picture of Matthew Lillard, it'll be okay.
I think that like the gist, like Scooby-Doo relies too heavily on the same plot twist every episode, so it just never held my attention. But you know, one time I was at a party and some stoners talked about Scooby-Doo, and I mentioned the glaring flaws with its overall narrative, and they were not happy. Aaron replied, it was a bit odd since there had been all this build-up for Zant, but I didn't dislike that there was a surprise more evil big bad. That's fair. I can respect that. That's fair. I think that was a lot of people's feelings at the time the game released, though. A lot of people were disappointed about Zant and Ganondorf, that sort of reveal, even though I actually remember not liking it when the game first came out. I think we've talked about this before on the podcast, actually. But when that reveal, like when the game was new and I got to that point, I remember being like, oh, that's disappointing. But it's grown on me a lot because I actually really love how Ganondorf is portrayed in that game as this ruthless warlord almost. Especially considering how different he is in Wind Waker. It's just like, whoa. It shows how the timeline split really impacts how his character develops in a way. But yeah, okay, fair enough. I think that pretty much wraps us up for this here podcast here on this new time slot that we may or may not continue with, depending on people's schedules. We were hoping that this would be everyone present today, but the scheduling didn't work out, unfortunately. Even though this was like the reschedule, I think, because we were talking about doing this on like Monday, or no, sorry, on Friday first, and then now Monday. But c'est la vie. So yes, to sign off, I'll say hello, goodbye. My name is Daniel. I'm 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗍𝒻𝒃. There's links to everybody who's involved in this podcast, all of their social medias down below, including my own, if you want to go check out my channel, where we examine all things dungeons and I mean all things dungeons in Zelda. We're going through a series examining every Zelda dungeon. Currently, we're looking at the Divine Beast of Breath of the Wild. We're 2 in. Pretty happy with how those videos turned out. Lots of work put into them, so please give that a try. Give that a go if you haven't already. And I appreciate everyone who has. And I also stream twice a week, every Wednesday and every Saturday. Wednesdays are Zelda days. Saturdays are whatever other game I'm playing that's not Zelda. So it's a good time to hang out and play some games and chit chat and stuff. And that's everything about me. But Jesse, tell us about yourself. Tell us about why people should care and who you are, and if you've got anything upcoming that you want to tease or not tease. I guess it's up to you.
Well,
Tell
I
us
like
things.
to watch your streams 2 times a week.
Forbidden. Go on.
So I am Jesse, as Daniel said. Links to everything: Twitter, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. Everyone's social medias to everything is in the comments below, or not the comments, the description below. and I just recently put a lot of work into the Zelda 𝗼𝗼 slash Zelda Gaiden slash Zelda 64 video that Daniel mentioned earlier. I tried my best to have the exact quotes of everything on screen, which 99% of people seem to like, which is something I try to do a lot anyways, but I tried to make extra sure on that video because 𝗼𝗼 Zelda can get kind of controversial sometimes, because I think people have this like fantasy version of the game in their mind from watching videos or reading articles from people who were possibly misinformed.
Or people who have like those beta recreation
Oh,
videos,
yes.
and then they're like totally not.
Yes.
It's like, there was no Dark World in Ocarina of Time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that stupid.
Yeah, this is the
Yes.
whole thing. Yeah.
I also had a video that I'm going to be working on a part 2 or follow-up to soon. It might be one of my next videos. It was the Everything We Know About Breath of the Wild, which does something similar, and it gathers all the interviews I could find where they mentioned Breath of the Wild 2 or the Zelda series after Breath of the Wild, and there was a few things that I left out. There's a couple of more things that people sent me, so it's gotten to be enough to make a follow-up video to that. Because I don't know how I forgot, because we covered it on the podcast, plus I made actual videos for it as well. What was it? The trademark thing.
Do you
So,
mean
the
like
different abilities.
the patents that were?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
patents. Like, I don't know
Those are
how I
really
forgot
cool.
about those. Like, that was another, but yeah, there's a few things that I left out, so I think it's enough to make a decent 7-8 minute follow-up video for it. And the video I'm working on right now is a secret about Skyward Sword that I will reveal tomorrow when the video uploads.
Fair.
But
I'm
I find
excited.
it interesting, and it's also a very controversial topic. And I went back and tried to find every interview I could on the subject as a part of the thing in Skyward Sword that was cut content, I guess. And it was all the other previous times that they mentioned it. And then I guess I'm going to try to do research on the thing that Daniel mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, the cut content that Nintendo never used that would have been great, which might
Cool.
take a while.
It
But
might.
I spend my free time researching 20-year-old interviews and random Japanese magazines anyways, so
Fair.
it might be fun. Thank you for having me on, Daniel. This was great. I
On
would love
your
to come back
channel.
on if you ever invite me on again.
I will always. Welcome back to your own channel, Jesse. I will say though, your What If 𝗼𝗼 Zelda video is fantastic. Definitely recommend the watch there. To anybody who's
Because
like,
there's nothing
hungry
in
for
the
more.
video. Because I always have that problem where like there's always someone in the comments. It's like, this isn't true, or blah blah blah, or something. Like they try to debunk something that's in the video, but this time they literally can't, because everything.
but you had
Just
one
there on screen.
comment. Didn't you have that one comment where someone was like, "Why did you put this stuff
Yeah,
on screen for us to read? How could you? I'm disappointed." And it's like, what? Well, first of all, like it's just on screen to show you the source of what he's saying. He's still like speaking. He's not. It's not just like there's no audio. Like
And there's still clips of
Yeah.
gameplay and stuff.
yeah, it's just called
also-
sourcing your information. Jeez.
I actually went a step further, and I took all of the beta gameplay that I could find, and I put it through that upres thing that I did with the Twilight Princess videos.
Though
But
that's always cool.
Did Did you ever see that? There was the 90. I think it was the 97 or 98 E3 demo where it was like you could fight Phantom Ganon, King Dodongo, or go into the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏 dungeon. But in the King Dodongo chamber, in the boss fight, in the background, on the wall, it's just the Triforce, all three pieces of the Triforce just like spinning around in a circle.
I have not seen this.
I sent it to you and 𝗟𝗏𝗃. Like, you can literally go right now to the group chat with you, me, and 𝗟𝗏𝗃, and there's a video there, and I'm like, what is this? I even messaged Tony, because I assume Tony knows everything that I don't know, and I asked him, I was like, have you ever seen this before, or am I crazy? So, yeah, I might do a video on that.
The true
Plus,
lore.
I was snooping around on some websites that I probably shouldn't have been, and I found some really interesting developer demos of Breath of the Wild that I presume they use to teach new people on the team how the different effects works. Which I posted one of the videos in your chat, but they're like unlisted videos on YouTube. And
Interesting. How did you find them if they're unlisted? That's my question.
well, there's certain websites, and then you can, like, when you're on Google Chrome, you can like right click on the website and you can go to view page source or inspect, and it puts up all the different HTML code. And I was digging through there because a long time ago I was doing that, and I found some beta pictures when I was looking for Zelda 64 stuff. So I was doing that for another game, and I found these YouTube links, and when I clicked on it and went there, it was unlisted videos, and it was just like, here's Link shooting the grass and catching it on fire with the fire arrow, and all the effects work normal. And then here's that exact same scene, but all the effects are turned off. And it just looks so weird because he just flies over there, and like usually you see the fire burning the grass, and then there's the heat waves coming up and it shoots Link up in the air. But like none of the effects are there, and Link still rises in the air, and it's just showing how to model the different special effects and stuff. And I'm like, this is really cool, but I don't know if I get in trouble if I make a video on it.
That's really
because
interesting.
Nintendo ninjas are a real thing.
They are. They're going to switch to private instead of unlisted. There you go.
Well, I already downloaded it.
Oop, there you go. Natsu said, even if it's unlisted, as long as you have a link, you can view it pretty easily. Yeah, but how do you? But if you don't have that link, that's the thing. But interesting. Also, just before we sign off, since I know we were just about to end this, but we have a super chat from Taker610, who said, I am really curious to see if we get next gen hardware with Breath of the Wild 2. If we do that, could mean a lot of cool stuff to follow. Maybe another 2D remake.
I think they're already working on the 2D remake.
Oh, do you?
That's just me.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know what they would be working on. I could only speculate. We have no real insider info except for unlisted videos. So that's all we have.
It's that interview that took place like 50 years ago with 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, and he had that one comment that was like, I want to evolve how we think about 2D Zelda, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but sure.
Yeah.
And I've just been holding it close to my chest ever since, because I would love an HD 2D Zelda game.
Fair enough. I think there is like there's like Link's Awakening, I think, is a pretty good template to follow for how they could remake 2D games. And like they say in the chat here, Rezo has to be doing something, which is true. So yeah, thank you so much for the super chat, though, Taker. And I agree. I am also very curious as to what sort of next-gen hardware we'll see, when we'd see it, if we'd see it along the sequel. I just do not know. We'll see. Any good podcast? Any final thoughts before we sign off here, Jessup?
Thank all of you for joining in at not our normal time on not our normal day and without a heads up or scheduling. So thank you all for coming and watching, and thank you, Daniel, for hosting.
Thank you, Jesse, for bringing us all together in this wonderful thing we call life. So, all right, I'm going to hit the end stream button now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Don't forget to check the links below for everybody's socials, everyone who's involved in this podcast. All the links are below. You can follow us all on Twitter. You can follow the Hylian Gamescast official Twitter account as well. You can... Jesse almost died just now. It's okay. He's alive. Yes, follow Hylian Gamescast on Twitter. Follow Game Over Jesse, Geek Apprentice, 𝗍𝗵𝗲, and myself, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗧𝗏, etc. Subscribe to all the YouTube channels, etc., etc. Thank you. Also, you can support Jesse on Patreon. I don't think I missed anything. That's everything. Thank you all for being here. Have yourselves a good rest of your Monday. Hope the week goes by smoothly and happily for you. And take care. Bye-bye.